Hey everybody, this is the recap from Washington, D.C. for the last week. We got two words for you: impeachment and the XM Bank. So I guess that's like three words, but anyhow, that's all we did this week. So maybe I'll start with the Export-Import Bank. I'm not a big fan, but realize obviously that United States companies have to compete with companies overseas where the state is a sponsor of the enterprise. For instance, there'll be a company overseas that builds aircraft and tries to sell them globally, and their state, the country, sponsors them and helps finance the deal. And so if you're a United States company that does the same thing, you're at a disadvantage if you can't get financing or you struggle to get financing. So that's allegedly what we have the Export-Import Bank for. And so this was the reauthorization of the Export-Import Bank. I am not a fan of the bank because we never reform it. Just a couple things to let you know. We help finance companies that operate in the United States that have Chinese origin, and they use Export-Import Bank funds to finance their deals, which sell sometimes in the United States, sometimes abroad, in competition with the United States companies, using loan guarantees backed up by the American taxpayer. That doesn't seem like the right answer to me, quite honestly. Not also to mention that they still have bad debt on the books from the Batista regime in Cuba. I hate to inform the XM Bank, but Batista's not coming back anytime soon. So for those reasons and others, I voted no on the reauthorization. I voted no in the past. I think the Export-Import Bank is an important tool that the United States has to have our businesses, our United States businesses, compete with other countries' businesses where the other state is the sponsor. But I think there are serious reformations that are needed, and they have been needed for a long time. And of course, they're not you as a taxpayer on the hook for this bad debt, which continues to happen because there isn't the robust oversight and regulatory changes with the Export-Import Bank that are necessary. So I certainly can answer more questions about that if you'd like to call or ask in the future. The next thing, and the only other thing on the docket, is impeachment. We had three of the witnesses that had previously testified down in the SCIF. They testified in public. They are Ambassador Taylor, Bill Taylor, George Kent, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, and the former ambassador from the United States to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch. If you watched them, you're going to know a couple things. First of all, none of them had firsthand information regarding the president's call, setting up the call, what happened on the call. It's all essentially hearsay. If you actually watch the hearing, it's not like secondhand information. In some cases, it's sixth-hand information. So, and in the case of Ambassador Yovanovitch, again, wasn't on the call, never spoke to the president, didn't set the call up for the president. As a matter of fact, Ambassador Yovanovitch was not in the country in the country of Ukraine at the time of the call between President Trump and President Zelensky. I think, unfortunately, she was brought up because she was, of course, reassigned by the president, and by his constitutional rights, the president has the authority to reassign and assign ambassadors from the United States for any reason or no reason at all. I think that she was brought out because we're supposed to hate the president because he reassigned her without cause, as far as she's concerned. So, but that's what's happening in Washington, D.C. On Friday, after Ambassador Yovanovitch's testimony, which was out in public, if you saw, we then went back into the SCIF for more depositions Friday and Saturday. I suspect there'll be more witnesses called. They'll go into the SCIF, and then some will be brought out into the prime time show in front of the American people for the impeachment proceedings that you're seeing.
I have a question. Why are we auditioning these people in the SCIF before they go to the hearing upstairs?
Well, essentially, it's the way to control what the messaging is going to be. So if we get a witness that we don't really like their testimony, they never have to be brought forward to the public hearing. But if we find witnesses that some of their testimony might be advantageous to, in my opinion, the effort at hand, then we'll bring them out for a public hearing. So,
well, how's that transparent?
Well, you're seeing them in public, but what you don't see is, of course, the witnesses that you don't see. Those are the ones that are in the SCIF that testify there that never come out before the public. And understand, once again, we are not allowed to subpoena our witnesses. We gave Representative Schiff, who's running the hearings and the testimony, and Speaker Pelosi, a list of witnesses that we wanted to call, and those witnesses, including the whistleblower, and I am supportive of having the whistleblower testify. Those witnesses are not approved. And let me just say this too: you're going to continually hear that the whistleblower has a legal right to anonymity. So a whistleblower must be kept anonymous. That's completely false. There's nothing in the law that says that anywhere. It is just rhetoric because certain people don't want to hear from the whistleblower. The whistleblower, I think there are some significant problems with the whistleblower's testimony. None of what he said matched up with the president's call. There are assertions which have a lot of validity that the whistleblower coordinated with Representative Schiff before becoming a whistleblower. There are questions about the whistleblower fundraising based on the whistleblowing and the legality of that. So for all those reasons and more, the whistleblower should, in my opinion, come forth and testify. The reason we have whistleblower laws is to protect them from retribution, not to protect them if they're breaking the law. But we're not supposed to fire a whistleblower just because you're a whistleblower. We want to know about fraudulent things that potentially are occurring in the government, and that's why whistleblowers are protected to come forward so they don't lose their job. But they are not absolved of following the law. They have to follow law, and you can't just say, "Well, I'm a whistleblower, and so I can break the law." Whether that's the documents that are incorrect, these are documents where they're sworn statements. Whether it's that or whether it's coordinating with the legislature when you say you haven't, those kind of things are not. They're not absolved from legal scrutiny. So with that, next week we will have Lieutenant Colonel Vindman will come in, Fiona Hill will be testifying, Ambassador to the EU Gordon Sondland will be testifying. So a full schedule next week. And just think about this too. At the end of next week, the federal government runs out of money on the temporary continuing resolution that we passed some time ago that took us right before Thanksgiving. As far as I can tell, we've done nothing to eliminate that circumstance and fund the government for the rest of the year. So if we don't deal with something by the end of next week, then all of the federal government will shut down. So stay tuned. I suspect they're going to come up with something to fund the government probably right before Christmas, and we'll just carry on. Because all we're focused on, quite honestly, is impeachment. We're not focused on these other things, whether it's funding the government, whether it's infrastructure, prescription drugs, the U.S., Canada, Mexico agreement, or any of those things that we could, in my opinion, should be doing. We should be able to walk and chew gum at the same time, but the whole town is wholly focused on these impeachment proceedings. So anyhow, that's the recap for the week. God bless you. Thank you. Have a great one.